Hi, this is Kim Pinkney, and I'm going to show you how to uh, draw a character using lined paper. And with this, you'll be able to get a good likeness without having to draw a whole bunch of straight lines and whatnot. But I do it anyway. With the lines, it'll help you to get uh, more symmetrical. And here's how I'm going to do it. I'm right now starting out with a really good size. I really want a good size face. And I'm going to split it, the circle that I've created. And it just gives me a rough idea how big the head's going to be. I split it in half so that and right now it's split so that it's facing forward. This character is going to be Jessica Alba, and I saw a really pretty picture of her online, and I said, well, let me try that, and let's try it with lines. Okay, right now I just created some arches, and I'm trying to get a decent eye size. Usually the head is 5 eyes wide, so what I'm doing is taking a little piece of paper and making tick marks, and make sure the tick marks are on the paper. And I'm going to use that as a guide. When you draw, you should use guides and landmarks when you are drawing from a reference picture. So here I am drawing the size of these eyes. And I use the eyes as a really good guide. What I do when I draw like this, I'm using the lines to remain symmetrical. Like I'm trying to get the eyeballs about the same size, and keeping in mind that the eye is round. I guesstimate where the nostrils are going to be, and sometimes you can count down how many lines that'll get you to where the nostrils are. You could use your eyes as a reference and just measure the reference's eyes versus your eyes and see if you can get a good measurement. Looking at this, I decided to make the eyes, let's see, one line, and then the eyelid one line, and then when I go above it, the eyebrows will fall on the lines above it. Now, if I would have left it alone, she would have looked like surprised. So you want to bring your top lid down close to the eyeball, or cutting it off a little bit. That way you see that they're looking straight at you. Now what I'm using is the eye measurement to find the nostrils. And you can do that by making uh, your eye measurement and see where it falls. And if when I did my measurement, it fell between the eyeball and those few lines there. So I'm in a good spot. Sometimes when you look at this, it's going to look like it's going to be too long or too short. And if you see that, you just adjust. Now I'm using the lines above to create the eyebrow. I'm not trying to do too much detail on this because all this is going to be a guide for me that I'm going to be tracing onto another piece of paper. And that paper I can't erase. Okay, now with the eyes being an eye apart from each other, the nose is exactly one eye wide. Some pictures you'll have the nose just a little bit smaller or larger. And what I do is I drop a line down, and that tells me where the edge of the nostrils are going to be. In this position, she is kind of got her head angled upwards, just ever so slightly. I drop a few lines down and I get her where her lips are going to be. Her lips are parted in the source image. So right here, I'm kind of estimating where the top of her lips are. She's got a bit of a ridge around her lips, and so I have to compensate for the makeup and whatnot. You want to pay attention to your landmarks. What's close to this? What's far away from that? How far away the lips are. And use your eye measurement that you've got. Uh, or any kind of measurement. You just find something that you can use to measure. And now I'm trying to get the eyeballs symmetrical. She's got a lot of eye makeup on, so I have to kind of gauge where the eye makeup ends. She's got false eyelashes on, so that extends her eye unnaturally. It's pretty, but it's a little unnatural. So you have to kind of keep those things in mind if you're drawing from a reference. And now I'm just pretty much trying to shape the eyebrow, the eye, and when I feel comfortable, I'll drop down and get to the lips and the width of the face and start coming down towards the chin. The nose has a lot of shading around it, so don't make your lines meet. Uh, give them a break in between because that will be covered up with color. I'm trying to get her teeth in. They're very small and slight. She's got a really big pout. And with the lines that are there, it's kind of hard to see. So you'll see me darken in the face a little bit so I can see it a lot better. Now this is the paper that you can make all your mistakes, any changes and whatnot. It's not the final image. Sometimes as you go, you will be changing and adjusting. See, I've just went over um, the size that I was aiming for. But that's fine. My paper is big enough, so I can compensate. But if you do find yourself doing that, then start adjusting downwards. Let's see, now I'm focusing on the shape of her face. When you can, occasionally, don't leave your paper flat. I'm leaving my paper flat so that it can be recorded and everybody can see it. When you leave it flat, it's distorted. Okay, now with the mouth, I needed to find a measurement, how wide the mouth is. So I used the eyeballs as my guide of where the mouth, the corners of the mouth will be. That's what those lines are. And I do that very lightly and extend the mouth. It may seem weird at first, but bear with it, and it usually gives you a really good, accurate measure. So use your eyes where the eyes are placed and drop lines down. Uh, if you can, use your pencil as a guide and then do the same mark on the paper. So her lips uh, end where the corner of that eye is, the eyeball rather. Okay. Now the head being 5 eyes wide, I need to know where to place the ears. So I put a line there and it gives me a guide to where the ears fall. Now, also halfway in between is where the jawline will be. And I use that measurement by measuring the mouth. And again, pay attention to your reference and look at how wide the jaw is. Where does it start to curve? Be above the mouth, about with the mouth, or below the mouth. It'll make a difference on how your head is shaped. Where does the neck fall? So I'm starting to erase some of my stray lines and some of my reference. And when you leave it flat, you have it's a hard view to see your likeness. So make sure from time to time that you lift it up and tilt it. It's better to draw at an angle rather than have the paper flat. If you're doing like the 3D type illusionary thing, by all means, but from time to time, lift that up and you'll see uh, the better angle. I'm trying to define her lips. And again, her eyelashes will extend pretty far out from the eye. And if you don't see your subject in what you're doing, take a break and look at your subject and different landmarks, things that make their face distinctive, like is the mouth big enough? Are the eyes far enough apart? Are you seeing the curves? Is it curving where it should? Everything's a landmark that you can use. Okay, and here's the paper. What it is a Bristol paper that I treated with baby oil. I didn't like this. I couldn't get a good view of it, so I had to take it off the paper here. And it's just regular lined paper. And now I'm going to try it again. And I didn't like where the face kind of fell on that smaller piece of paper, so I go for a larger one. This one I had treated overnight. Here we go. So what I want to do is I want to leave space enough for the hair, and I'm tilting it so I can see, can I see it, and does it look like her? So what I'm going to do, go back and see if I can get her likeness a little bit better. It may be hard to see the likeness of your person, um, and sometimes you'll see it a lot better once you start to shade it. Now I noticed that her face was a little wider than it needed to be. So I start cutting into it, and then it starts to look a lot more like her. Bam. So I erase the stray lines so I don't get confused. And by all means, invest in a kneaded eraser. They're not too expensive. They don't leave a lot of dust, and you can use them over and over again. And you can lighten your lines in certain places and whatnot. If you've never used one, definitely get one of those erasers. She's got a very pointy chin in the picture. So I'm just making more adjustments. I try to find where her earlobes are falling in relation to the nose. And then I try to look for the curve of her jaw. And just little tweaks like that will really get your likenesses. This helps a lot when it comes to doing portraits and caricatures. You find that one distinguishably characteristic of the person that makes them Jessica Alba versus Jessica Rabbit. You know, her hair is going to go over her ears. Now, when you draw a portrait, make sure you leave enough room for the brain. A lot of artists, when they begin, they don't leave enough head space, so their heads look squat. So I'm doing some finer measuring, trying to figure out where her hairline will be. And you see now it looks a lot more like her without all the shading and whatnot. That's going to come next. So right now I'm just giving myself a few lines, defining it and darkening up a little bit so that when I do put the new paper over, I'll be going right on in with my colored pencils. Alrighty. Now at this point I'm going to stop drawing on the lined paper and I'm going to transfer it onto another piece of paper. And please like and subscribe. If you have any questions, please leave them in the comments below and I will try to get back to you. And if you didn't like anything or if I wasn't clear enough, please leave it in the comments and I'll go ahead and see if I can address that in the next video. So this will be probably a 2 or 3 parter because I'm not using any time lapse at all.